Grade Dan Campbell and his job that he has done so far this year in 2025. I want to know your thoughts in the comments. In today's video, we're going to be going over some QA. I just went over some of your comments, added it, wanted to make a video. Obviously, this is a lot about the offseason, so let's go ahead and get into it without further ado here. Question for me, should the Lions fire Brad Holmes? First off, no, and they're not going to fire him. He's made mistakes just like any other general manager has made mistakes, but he is still good. We got to understand that some players are not going to work out, some do. Sometimes, things are going to work out, sometimes they don't. He has done a good job in the draft. I think he has done in the last two drafts, a little bit, he's took chances that has failed. I think that's an issue. I think he needs to be more aggressive at the trade deadline. I think he needs to be better in free agency. But all in all, no. That's an overreaction, in my opinion, to fire Brad Holmes. Him and Dan Campbell has done I think, a great job taking this team from the Patricia era to what it is now. Yes, we're not in the playoffs. Yes, we're not going to the Super Bowl this year. But we are a good team. We have lost. We got some issues. But I don't think the issues is so significant where you got to do an utter rehaul. Look, bad teams consistently fire GMs and coaches. That's not something we want here in Detroit. We want to have continuity and consistency. Do there need to be moves made in regards to coaching staff and philosophy of draft? 1,000%, and I would agree to that. So, question for you: would you fire? Do you want him to be fired? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Next here is: should the Lions add a quarterback? I don't know what they're going to do via free agency in the backup, so I don't think you're talking about that. You're talking about a Jared Goff spot. Look, I don't believe that the Lions need to draft a quarterback in this year's draft. I really do think they need to focus on the offense and defensive line. That's what they need to focus on. What are you going to do? You draft a quarterback with this offensive line, he just gets terrorized. Jared Goff's going to be here for a while. His cap hit is big for the next couple of years, so that alone is going to make him be here. The only way possible for that not to occur if the Lions were to make a trade, right? But that's just extremely unrealistic. So I'm going to say no in adding the quarterback position. Got other holes on this team we must fix. We must fix a lot of this team, and I think they'll do that this offseason here. Should the Lions fire Dan Campbell? Again, it's an overreaction with Brad Holmes. No, they should not fire Dan Campbell. What needs to be done is Dan Campbell needs to get an offensive coordinator. That's what they need to do. Get yourself a surefire OC. I think that takes care of the problems on offense. When you look at the offense we've seen, not that crisp this year compared to Ben Johnson, extremely crisp. A lot of to do, I believe, with OC play calling and practice. Dan Campbell needs to go back to being a head coach and not a play caller. He needs to go and manage the team, not more of the offense, because the defense has fallen off a cliff. Okay? And so, no, not fire Dan Campbell. John Morton, that's going to happen. We don't know what's going to go on with Kelvin Shepard. I don't think he gets fired. I would like for him to, but I don't think he does. What players should not return in 2026? Ooh, great question. And we can go over a lot. Marcus Davenport, Joshua Pascal, Levi Onwuzurike. Mekhi Wingo's a young player, but he hasn't done anything, right? Graham Glasgow. I don't even want to see Giovanni Manu come back. I know he's a young player, but he hasn't grown anything at all. The Ennis Rakestraw, he needs to do something in training camp. If he doesn't do well in training camp, I don't care. He's a second-round pick. Here's what I'm going on with. I am done with the injured players. I'm done with the all-IR team, and I want players that can contribute and be on the field. If you're a perennial injured player, I do not want you on this team anymore. It is really hurting our team having players that are consistently injured. We have to be able to rely on our draft picks. So that means our philosophy needs to change in regards to injured players. So, should not return those guys. I don't believe Alex Anzalone returns because of his age, unless he takes a pay cut. That potentially. We don't know about Demo, what's going to happen there in the situation. I want him to come back. He may request a trade. So those are like the main players, right? The offensive line's going to have a big switch, and I can't wait to see what it's going to look like. Because right now, it's butt cheeks with the offensive line, and I can guarantee you that's going to be priority for this offseason. And they can do that. They can make this offensive line much, much better. In the comments right now, name me a player that you would like for the Lions to let go. Just name a player in the comments. I thought Isaac TeSlaa looked good. Thoughts? Yeah, he did look good in the minimal time he's on the field. What I want to see for the Lions is him get much more playing time this offseason. I want to see him with Jared Goff in the offseason at his house, training. I want to see him in mini camp and training camp. He needs to be inserted as the number 3, not, Khalif Raymond I think is going to be gone. He needs to be the number 3. He needs to be on the field a lot this up-and-coming season. You do not invest that type of capital and not put him on the field. He's got great hands. Put him on the field. And I do think the next OC, Brian, former Giants head coach, would be a great option. Would you trade for Maxx Crosby? I made a video on this yesterday. Yes. 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 Maxx Crosby will make this defensive line great again. Okay? We've not had a good defense in 11 years. 11 years. You're not going to go anywhere without a defense. It's disgusting to see that we can't get to the quarterback the last couple years or the last 11. Go out there and get them. We can afford it. We can figure a way. If there's a will, there's a way. You want the Lions to win the NFC North. You want the Lions to be dominant again. You want the Lions to be grit. You want the Lions to never quit. You want them to bite kneecaps off. Is that what you want? Crosby's your guy. Put him with Aiden Hutchinson. How are you going to stop that? You can't double team them both. Then you got a Lee McNeil in the middle. Tyleik Williams, who you did draft. That should be a pretty darn good defensive line. That's how you win. Yes. Name a free agent you want the Lions to pursue. How about Tyler Lindenbaum from the Baltimore Ravens center? That'd be a good idea right there. One of the best centers in football. You insert him on the center position. You keep Ratledge at right guard, Penei Sewell at right tackle. You have Mahogany, Frazier battle it out for left guard. If the Lions decide to draft a left tackle or move Penei to left tackle and draft a right tackle or just keep Taylor Decker, the offensive line is much better. Tyler Lindenbaum would make this team, this offense, much improved. I do think the issues is all on the interior. It is all there. We can't run down the middle. We can't protect Jared Goff in the middle. That is the issues. I think that free agent alone could fix a lot of problems for this football team. A lot of problems on offense would be fixed primarily just kind of adding 1 or 2 players right there, all in the offensive line. That would be epic for them to do that. So that's what I would like the Lions to see. One bold move. Make one bold free agent move. You don't need to go out there and go crazy. We get a guy who can come in here and help solidify that offensive line. We can run down the middle and round down people's throats and ground and pound. That's what I want to see in Detroit. What do you guys? Name a free agent you want the Lions to sign this offseason. Should the Lions bring Ragnow out of retirement? I don't think he's coming out of retirement. If he were to be able to come out and be productive, in which we wouldn't know, yeah, right? But I just don't see it happening. I think it's more of a desperation for this season, and now the season's over. He's probably just going to be retired. Who do you want as OC? I talked about it. I'd like to have Zach Taylor. It's probably not going to happen. How about we get the former Giants head coach, good old BD? We would be run, play action. He had a good offense before he became head coach. He'd be a great offensive coordinator, no BS. That is the type of pursuance I would like the Lions to see. A known man to hold this offense down so Dan Campbell can focus on being a head coach. If BD was here, I think we could relax on how the offense operates, and that would be huge relief for Dan Campbell himself. What is the biggest issues with the Lions? Defense, offensive line. The defense has been horrible. The offensive line has been terrible. And drafting injured players has been the wrong decision, and not pursuing an edge the last couple years. So those, I would say, were the biggest issues for the Lions. Not having an OC this year really affected the Lions' offense. Kelvin Shepard, I think he's out of his league right now, at least this year. So those would be the biggest issues for me. So give me your thoughts. With that said, folks, adios.